Right, so we are sat with Confessions of a Traitor. Thanks so much for being here. Really excited to have you down at Hammerdown Festival. It's been a busy year for you guys. You had a lot going on with the new records. How's the last year been for you? Been a bit of a rollercoaster, I imagine.
Yeah, it's been been a bit of an interesting one compared to previous years. So
I mean,
it's an easy way of putting it.
Especially the last 2 years where everyone was locked away because of COVID. But I think, you know, just to name but a few things, having played Download Festival, having
big deal.
You know, in 4 days we head out to North America for the first time. On a 3.5 week long tour, so you know, our album charted on the Billboard charts in 4 separate charts in the States.
In 4 charts?
Yeah, 4 charts.
So what was it, in Heat Seekers, I imagine, something like that? Or
I think it was like
independent
Indie 100 or whatever it's
label.
called.
So we're in that.
Hard rock.
Makes sense.
Christian metal chart.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the last one was.
Something else,
So
yeah, it was great. It was like when our label sent it through to us, we were like, oh my god. Oh yeah, we got signed to a label. That's another thing.
Yeah, that happened.
So yeah, it's all kind of started to ramp up.
Well, that's my next question about working with Face Down. What do you think it's really important still in this day and age for bands to work with labels? How much have you seen things change since working with them?
I don't think it's important. However, I think what Face Down have done for us has been transformative.
Right.
So it just depends on what works for you.
Yeah.
So they've given us a tremendous amount of support and you know, exposure, especially out into the market that is now our biggest market. So it's like, you know, and they've given us a lot of support, a lot of funding, and it's just working out in the most incredible way. But I know a lot of bands who are completely independent who do just as well. So it swings and roundabouts. If you'd asked me every day of the week, would I sign to Face Down Records? Yeah, absolutely. Because they have been so incredible to us. But I understand why bands go about doing it on their own.
I think it depends on your circumstances and what you're looking to achieve. Like for us, our biggest market before we got signed to them was building up to be America. So realistically, to get those doors open, we needed that influence out there. Whereas if our biggest market had been probably in the UK, things might have been different. But it kind of swings and roundabouts for each band and what your circumstances are and what you're after. But for us, Steve said, Face Down came along and said, we want to sign you for the next 10 albums, we'd be signing for the next 10 albums.
So it's not a 10 album contract?
No, not yet.
Close to 9 and an EP.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So obviously we can't put everything down to Face Down at all. There's obviously a lot of talent that has developed over time. How different do you think this current album is to previous stuff? How do you see yourselves evolving?
I'd say it's a further maturement of our sound that we've been going through, because we had members differently, so we had different sounds, and then other people have joined, and we've always tried to work with different people as well with each album cycle, which have definitely, I think, has influenced our sound. The bands that we've toured with, our own growing maturity in our age and sort of what we're listening to, but kind of also understanding industry needs, sort of things, ways of doing songs, all those sort of things, but also kind of sticking true to us.
What we like, and
going a bit darker.
Yeah. It's one of these things that
feels very inwards, especially lyrically.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a complete reflection on. Well, the album is a reflection on what happened over the pandemic, but you get a tremendous amount of people who came out of the pandemic with lots of political stuff, and I'm just not a political person. I'm a very emotive, intrinsic person. So it was all driven through that, and I wanted to express myself in that format, and it has done wonders for us lyrically. A lot of people resonating with the lyrics, but from a musical perspective, like we spent a lot of time writing. We spent a lot of time refining. It wasn't just, oh cool, there's a song, let's move on to the next one. It was like, right, let's work on it, let's mature it, let's listen to it, sit on it for a while, come back to it again, and then rewrite it if there's bits that we're unsure of, and really taking time rather than just going, we need music, and creating like a gravy train of constant tracks.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
it was certainly our first time really sitting on pre-production stuff and really letting it mature, and not being afraid to, I think in the past there'd be quite a lot of attachments to riffs and bits and songs and lyrical patterns, and it was kind of like nothing's off the table, and it'd be like, right, okay, I mean, we got to the points where we even got down to vocal production, and we'd already recorded drums and bass and guitars.
Yeah, sure.
Our producer Justin Hill from Sixth was just
Yeah,
like,
sick by the way. You watched it.
he's
That's so
an
cool.
absolute genius,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
man, and pushed us vocally further than we've ever been before. But he'd be like, so another chorus, and we'd be like, 3 choruses?
Yeah.
He'd be like, 3 choruses is what you need.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like, oh, okay, so we sat there chopping things around, putting it in, adding extra things, and it's just like, just built it, and then
Did
it's
you put a
getting
lot of
mixed.
faith into it then when you recorded?
Yeah,
Did
and then
you
we
trust a lot of his judgment on that?
It's hard not to.
Yeah,
When
no,
you've
I
got-
absolutely agree.
Yeah.
When you've got someone of that prestige, and I remember when we were talking about it initially, I was like, "Oh, I want to record with Justin Hill. Like that's who I want to go to for vocals because I want to go." We recorded with drummer producers, guitarist producers, and it's like, well, why don't we spend a bit more time on the vocal side of things? And we did. And it worked.
Yeah,
and it's like,
sure.
you know, he really got a lot out of Jake and I.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd written all the lyrics, and I'd, you know, written a lot of the melodies, and then I'd come in and he'd be like, cool, lyrics are cool, let's change the melody.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of attached to it, and it's like, well, no, let's try something else. And you're like, okay, oh, actually, no, that does sound great. Or it's, you know, we've written a melody, lyrics need a bit of work. Okay, let's go back in, and it's that third person not afraid to say,
yeah,
I think it could be better.
It was the week before we went in, and you just called me. We were driving to our drummers to stay at his before we went to our old guitarist's wedding, and he's just like, yeah, so I've just rewritten all the lyrics. And I'm like, sorry, what? We're going to the studio in a week, and you've rewritten all the lyrical content?
2 weeks before,
all of
8 out of the 10 songs I've rewritten.
Yeah.
Just because it just the vibe just wasn't there on the initial tracks, and there we go.
And is that quite hard sometimes from, not an arrogance point of view, but we all feel precious to those things when we've
Completely
done that. Is it really, really difficult to say, all right, let's try your idea?
It is because it's you pour your heart and soul into it,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
this at this point in time is the best thing I've ever done, and then someone goes, sounds a bit weak, mate, and you're like, but that's my feelings. I wrote them and I was sad. So then you're like, oh, okay, well, if it doesn't sound great, then let's redo it, and you know, we're not precious about it.
Good.
It's about what's best for the music, what's best for the song.
Yeah, we've learned to be a bit more brutal / open.
Harsh with ourselves.
It's probably a thing, so it'd be like sort of, I said, that's a great take, and you just see him in the studio and be like,
you can do better.
Do again. Same thing with me, and we'd be in the booth and just like, it's not bad, and we're like, nah, it can be better.
Yeah.
Like, everything could be better.
And then
So,
it's really soft at the beginning, and then by the end of it's that crap tape, go again.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're there now.
Got it. So I want to ask you a question. I want you guys to cast your mind back just a little bit. There's a video.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
It goes around on the interweb sometimes.
You said it was deleted.
About once a year.
About once a year.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen this before until months after I booked you for this, by the way. Obviously you guys performing in a cafe.
Yeah.
What is that all about? Why did that happen?
So, long story short, we were on tour with Crazy Town.
What?
Yeah. We were.
That was not a tour lineup, but it worked.
Why? That's so funny.
Incredible lineup.
Really?
Yeah. They're such good guys.
No, absolutely. That's so funny.
And we were in Eastern Europe, specifically Romania. And we just played the Hard Rock Cafe the night before. So we were like, oh, that's cool, Eric Clapton's played here. And now you've got these Grebos turning up, like all in black, trying to...
Family of 4 eating their burgers in the corner as us throwing down on stage. And it's an odd
spin
experience.
kicking across the room. And then we drove through the night, and we basically got to this cafe, and the guy from the night before was like, do you want to play a show? And we're like, yeah? What, like here? And he's like, yeah. I was like, what, tonight? And he's like, no, now. It's like, bro, it's 8 AM. Like, we're just sat here having a coffee. And he's like, yeah, just sit up. So we had all our gear in the back of the van, we just stuck it in.
No, it was genuinely that spontaneous. It wasn't set up or anything.
No. And then it was like Crazy Town, I sat down eating breakfast, and we just
Shut up,
and
that's
so
ridiculous.
One of the boys from Crazy Town started filming us just as I came up, and I'm like, Shifty's eating an omelette. We hadn't had hot food for like 3 days. So he's chowing down, he just feeds me this thing halfway through the set, and I'm like, oh, that's the best thing I've ever had in my life. Brrr, into the next line, and then there's this guy who's obviously there.
He's
like,
fuming, mate.
He asked for a picture afterwards.
Yeah.
He came up and he was like, "Oh, can I get a picture with you guys?" Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
so it wasn't that angry.
The amount of people that just randomly turned up as well. It's
really
like,
good.
what is going on?
Came in to the cafe and
started
saw the-
moshing away.
It
And
was a
it's
Monday
like,
morning.
Yeah.
Flip it,
It was a
that is
Monday morning.
mad.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was
Wow.
so, and then every year it goes viral again. And, like
Yeah, 'cause it
people
got
find
picked
us
up
and
by,
tag us. Yeah,
Unilad.
Yeah, it just gets,
Like,
yeah, you
a couple of months later on, like it got picked up, and we were back out in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And we were just like, what's going on? Like literally, like people just tagging us constantly on Facebook. We're like, what's going on? And then it like been picked up again, and then sort of hit over the million, then the 2 million, and we were just like,
Yeah, it was last time it came out, it
on?
was 2.5
Yeah,
or 3 million or
yeah.
something stupid.
And
More
it
than
keeps
more
going
than
around.
one of the music videos put together. Sorry, lads.
Well, this is the
it's
the
so
thing,
funny,
isn't
isn't it?
It's like
Free.
we do that at every show, and
Yeah.
it just so happens that got caught at that point in time, and it's like,
Right.
you know, that's what bands dream of, like a viral clip doing stuff for you. So now, you know, every now and again, someone who would have seen it feeds me from the crowd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that does happen every
that's
so
right,
often.
That's great banter. Oh, that's brilliant
Yeah,
banter.
it's
It
good.
was so much
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So you had a big year. The new record was, and you know, take this in the right way, a massive step up in my opinion from
Thank you.
prior stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What's the goal moving forwards? What are you working on more material now?
Yeah. I mean, you know, we've been remiss to say if we weren't working on anything, because we absolutely are. So you know, we've got a significant number of demos. We've got a couple of tracks that are a lot further down, a lot further
They're in the
along.
pre-production stage,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And it's
Fantastic.
like, you know, we're trying to now plan out what's happening, but what's taken up most of our energy recently is obviously the tour to America. So I'm sure we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. But you know, I've written a good portion of the lyrics for the album, and we're just kind of at the stage now where we're like, right, what songs do we want to start pushing forward to step into recording? And you know,
I think we're about like 20 to 25 songs
Yeah.
deep in terms of
Yeah.
like Jack
Music,
just went
yeah.
into like music like
mode, yeah.
literal music mode, and was
Wow.
like, so I've done all these, and I'm like, where's all
Yeah.
this come from?
And
It's
I-
like 10, 15 in one go.
It's the same with me with lyrics. I was
Yeah.
just like writing away, and then we're like, right, let's marry these worlds together and start working on them.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's like, you know, the oven's not even finished cooling down yet, and we're trying to prep it back up to
Yeah.
pump out some more stuff. I was
Amazing.
talking about a gravy train earlier, not
Yeah,
doing it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we're active. We want to capitalise on how well this record's done for us, and really kind of take it again to that next level.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen
absolutely.
the elements that have worked from it,
Yeah.
and the ones that have worked from the previous ones, and just kind of try and really combine it into
Yeah.
something.
Cool.
And looking at it like, is this going to be radio friendly play song that we're going to work on? Is it going to be just a generic kind of, this is hardcore, and this is going to be watching people punch each other in the face sort of style
Very
song?
good. Very good.
And then
very
go
good.
from there, really.
Nice. Well, that is all we have time for today. So, Confessions, thank you so much for being here. We really, really appreciate it. If you
Thanks
haven't
for
listened
having
to the new album, definitely get it in your ear holes and keep an eye out. And if you're in the States watching this, check down to one of the shows. So, how many dates have we got over those 3.5 weeks?
18...
20, yeah,
20 shows
two,
now?
two more.
20
Okay,
shows,
two more been added, so
20
20
different
shows over
shows.
22
You're
days.
covering, how many states are you covering, do you
I
know?
think it's
10?
or 11, yeah.
Amazing. I mean, that's going to be the tour of a lifetime, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literally.
so
Until we go back out again.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Thank
Cheers,
you.
Eric.
Awesome.